Hi, I'm Kristina von Trapp Frame at the Trapp Family Lodge in Stowe, Vermont. I'm here to introduce you to our chicken herd. These are our replacement chickens that will be coming in and helping out some of our older chickens that aren't laying as much anymore. Chickens are extremely useful to have around the property. How many times have you gone to bake something and not had eggs available at your house? They eat all the bugs and things around the house, and they're fun. You can hear them already probably. Our daily routine is to let the chickens out in the morning, and they come out here and they peck around, and you can see where they have eaten down a lot of the vegetation. The grass is lower inside the fence than outside the fence. And we have a fence to protect them. Chickens are actually quite vulnerable to predators, so the fence will keep out raccoons, foxes, weasels, and then also the chickens will have the coop to go into for shelter, or underneath the tree over here will protect them from hawks, because hawks will come down and pluck them off and take them away. So when I open the door in the morning, they get very excited to come out. So welcome to our girls. Oh, so this is, they crouch down when they get nervous like this. They crouch. So again, another reason why they're not very good at getting away from predators, because they tend to freeze instead of running. And then I go in and I check their water and I check their feed. Realistically, their water and feed can get filled every other day, depending on how big the feeders are. There are 30 red stars here right now, and you can see they're getting bigger. This girl right here, who's trying to get away from me, has quite a big comb on the top of her head. That's another indicator of being a good layer. So these red stars are good for laying hens, and then you can actually use them as meat birds when they're done. All right, well, let's go inside and see what the water and food and egg situation looks like for the day. And I must admit, we did used to have a very nice egg collector that was a wire basket that looked like a chicken, and all the shavings could drop through it. But then when that broke, I resorted to my kids' Halloween basket because it has a handle, so it's easy to carry. So this is layer. These are crumbles. Chickens like to peck and move things around. So these being crumbles, they will spread them less. And this little feeder, they can put their heads in, but it has a little lip here, so they can't bring it out over the edge. So this is the feeder that I'll put outside, and then they have this big, tall, hanging feeder for inside. And then they have 2 waterers that will clean too. Thank you. Okay, I'll leave you to it. And then there's 1 egg over here. And sometimes the shavings just sticks to it. But they come out, they're incredibly clean when they come out. They're really nice and dark brown. So these red stars create dark brown eggs. And then look at this bigger one now. So chickens lay different size eggs depending on their age. When they first lay eggs, they're smaller size, and it's called a pullet. And then you can see the bigger egg in my hand is more mature bird. And it's just, these guys are probably kind of 5 or 6 months old right now. So the small ones are really cute, and the yolks are very dark orange and very upright. When I use them for baking, they actually go through the beaters a couple times before they break up. They're so firm. And then, so the chickens right now have their mature feathers, and they have full beaks. A lot of times in different chicken factories, they may clip the beaks so they don't fight with each other. What we do here is we will clip their wings a little bit. It doesn't hurt them, just so they don't fly out over the fence. And then those wings will grow back, and we may have to clip them again. But now they've learned to stay inside the fence for protection. So these girls will look like this. They have their mature feathers. You know, they're not the little downy chicks anymore. And then they will molt at about 18 months old. And that's when they lose all their feathers and get new ones again. So when that happens, because there's so much energy going back into growing feathers, they actually won't lay eggs for 2 months or so. And chickens are interesting. They are born with the amount of eggs in their bodies that they will have for their whole life. And they are born with about 4,000 eggs, but they only use about 1,000 of them. So chickens are really good laying from 5 months old till about 2 years is really their peak, and then they taper off a little bit after that. And they lay about 1 egg every 25 hours. Some really good, strong breeds will lay something like 240 eggs in a year. But it all depends on how much you feed them and water them and take care of them. And you can see our girls here are pecking at the feed, as well as all the bugs and digging for things in the ground. So they've got a very good life. So the eggs from our chickens that are, you can see, very free-range chickens, have really good benefits, really good health benefits, and we use them on our property. You will find them at our breakfast in our main lodge dining room. You will find them on the chicken schnitzel at the beer hall, and you can find them for sale, unless we sell out. They are in high demand, and during this quarantine period with the COVID-19, nobody told our chickens that our restaurant was closed. So we ended up doing a pretty sharp business with selling our eggs because there was nobody in the hotel. So when the chickens lay the eggs, there's actually a protective coating around it that protects the egg. So if you are looking to buy eggs and then bring them home with you, they're fine out of the refrigerator, but they will last longer in the fridge. They last up to 4 weeks in the refrigerator, and you can also leave them out on your counter, but 1 day on the counter is the same as 1 week in the refrigerator. So the refrigerator will last you longer, but they are worth it. So the chicken, you can see the chicken's eye, and then behind her eye right here is her ear. So that's the chicken's ears, sorry girl. And then at the top of her head, this is the comb, the red top of her head. And the chicken's comb is actually the inspiration behind crowns, the king's crown, because it's the top of the animal. So that's where a crown came from. And then she has her wings and her legs, and you can see her really strong claws for digging. So they can scratch and dig through dirt to get bugs and worms and things. So these girls are going to grow up here for a little bit, and then they're going to move to our mobile chicken tractor. So our chicken tractors are usually up around our wedding tent area in the big fields, and you can find those, and my brother Sam will tell you a little bit about that.
Right. I'm Sam von Trapp. I know that my sister Kristina introduced you to our small flock of chickens here this morning. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've come back to gather some of the eggs and to share with them one of their favorite treats. And you're going to see how much chickens like watermelon rinds. They will pick away at these things until there is basically not even any pink material left on the rinds. It's great to be able to feed our scraps to our animals around here. Gonna lay them out, spread them out a little bit so the chickens can spread out. Hey ladies, look what we got over here. Look at this. And while they're distracted, I'm going to go remove their eggs. So my sister gathered 4 eggs this morning, and I am guessing that we'll have at least another 14. Might as well turn it on. Turn on the light. So we've got this great coop, which is actually designed that even little people can get into it. And my 2.5-year-old knows how to open and close this. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 eggs here plus the 4 from this morning. 21. Blackjack. And a couple of things that my sister wanted me to add that she forgot to mention this morning. One, we can actually see right here, are the roosts up here in the coop. So chickens like to sleep up high. Again, my sister talked a lot about predators. This in the wild would keep them up away from a lot of the predators. Unfortunately, here in Vermont, a lot of our chicken predators can climb. So fishers and raccoons wouldn't have any trouble getting up there. Another thing that Kristina wanted me to mention was you saw in the video how enthusiastic the chickens were about coming out of the coop in the morning. They also love going back in at night, so we do not have to chase them around and herd them into the coop. They automatically come back in as it gets dark because they have a good sense of survival and they know that they are going to do better off here inside. So no need to chase them around at all. We are able to just come out and close the door when it's time. My sister also gave us a good rundown on the chickens with their laying. One thing we forgot to mention earlier, day length has a huge impact on the way the chickens lay. And so this time of year, currently it's early June, often you'll get pretty much 1 egg per hen. But when the days are really short in December, you may get 0. I've had times where I'm getting 20 eggs from 20 hens in June, and I'm getting 2 eggs from 20 hens in December. So a lot of it, just like human beings, they react to day length as well. We're now going to tell you a little bit more about our portable eggmobile. This gives us the opportunity to move our chickens around, for them to find fresh forage, scratch through fresh earth, find different bugs, eat away at different plants. In a perfect world, we move these behind the cattle and they would go into the cow pasture about a month after the cows come out. The cow manure, a lot of insects breed in the cow manure. The chickens will scratch through that manure, eat the larvae of the insects, helps to break the manure apart, which allows the grass to regrow in that area. Obviously feeds our chickens with some nice healthy protein and helps to keep the whole system in balance. The reality is that sometimes fields are uneven. Sometimes predators make certain areas harder to go to than others. So we do our best. These chickens are out, they're getting plenty of fresh forage, but I'd be lying if we said that we consistently every single day moved them to where the cattle had been 1 week before. That would be a level of perfection which we have not yet achieved. So the idea with the eggmobile is that it's got an open floor that we'll see in a moment, so as the chickens move around, anytime that they're pooping, that passes right through, helps to fertilize the ground underneath. We move the eggmobile ideally every 2 days. In some situations, in some more intensive farms, they would move even more quickly than that. And we're going to take a quick look inside. Obviously, they've got to have everything inside that they need in order to survive. So they've got fresh water inside, they've got fresh water outside, they've got food inside. They can jump in and out through their door over here every day. Door operates on a timer. Chickens automatically want to go out when it gets lighter in the morning, and they automatically want to come back in when it starts getting darker. We've got a fan over here if it gets a little bit hotter and we need to move the air through. But this design works amazingly well between the open floor and then the space around the rafters on the roof. The air moves through very well. Chickens have their roosts on the ends and plenty of laying boxes for them to generate eggs. And it looks like we've already gathered eggs today because there are none here.
So thanks for listening about our chickens, and this summer or next summer we look forward to seeing you and having you experience some of our chickens' eggs in our hotel or at the beer hall, and you are welcome to take a dozen home anytime. Thanks.